Hello and welcome back to LIT Lisa's Initial Thoughts. Today I want to take a look at Lot's wife. And the story starts off in chapter 18 of Genesis, where Abraham is pleading on behalf of the righteous in the city. And we know he gets all the way down to 10, and then, God leaves him and he goes on to see what wicked thing that has come up before him. But I want to take a look right now at Lot's wife. Lot's wife was living amongst the righteous. But how connected to God was she? When the angels arrived at the gate, we know that Lot took them and led them back to his home. Now, Lot's home is where the righteous were found that Abraham was pleading for. Let there be at least 10 in the city. Now, Lot's wife being considered to be one of the righteous, but her love was for her home and for her daughters, who were still very much in the sin of the city. So when it was time to go, she had a hard time walking away. She was not connected to God enough to forsake her love for the city and her children. And we know that that's hard. That's hard. Anyone that is a mother knows that it's really hard to just abandon your children. This goes to show that you can be around Christian people, but the choice to connect to Christ is an individual decision. It reminds me of the story in Matthew 25, where it speaks of the 10 virgins. They were all together. They all had lamps. They were all waiting on the bridegroom to come, but only 5 were ready to go. Although they were all together, they would have all been considered righteous, but only 5 were prepared to leave. Lot's wife didn't get delivered, and 5 of the virgins didn't get delivered. Now in Ezekiel 14:14, it reads, though these 3 men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they should deliver but their own souls by their righteousness, said the Lord God. And if you read verse 18, it says, though these 3 men were in it, as I live, said the Lord God, they shall deliver neither their sons nor their daughters, but they only shall be delivered themselves. With this being read, it shows and proves that Lot's wife would have had to have a relationship with God for herself. We must not fool ourselves that because people, that we are in the company of righteous people and go to church and everything, that we are just considered righteous, because God does read the heart, and God knows who we are. Now the redeemed will be redeemed when the Lord returns to the earth, but he will only redeem those that are truly connected, those that have forsaken all. Lot's wife could not forsake all. When she was brought out of the city, that would have been her deliverance, but she could not go all the way because she longed for her children that were left behind, and along with her livelihood that was left behind. So therefore she turned back. Once God delivers us, he expects us not to turn back, go back into the sins, go back into the lifestyles, go back into that old man that we used to be once we have been delivered. There's more to the story than Lot's wife just turning back. She failed to be delivered that day. She could not walk away from that which held her back, which was her children, her love for her children, and her love for the city that she was leaving behind. Because most people will give the excuse, well, I can serve God and still have the things that I want in life. I don't have to give this up to serve God. I don't have to let this go to serve God. Well, anything that comes between you and God, you do have to let it go. And I know sometimes that's hard, and sometimes we don't want to hear the reality of that, but indeed it is a reality if you're professing to be a child of God. Lot's wife was put in a very precarious position by being told to walk away from her children and everything, and though, like I said before, those of us that are mothers, I'm sure we can relate to that. But at the same time, You cannot lose your salvation because of your children. You cannot lose your salvation because of your spouse or your job or the love of money or whatever it is that is standing in your way. You're going to have to forsake it all because Christ forsook it all. When Christ came down from heaven and became a man and walked among us and lived the way we lived and ate the way we ate and moved about the way we move about, and Christ gave it all up. Christ gave up his ability to be omnipresent. He can no longer be omnipresent because he went back in humanity. He went back as man to heaven. So he's no longer omnipresent, but the Father is and the Spirit is. They can be everywhere at once. And we just have to, in all that God gave up for us, how easy should it be for us to give up the habits that we have in this life for him? So I just wanted to talk about Lot's wife and how she could not give up the love that she had for her city and for her children, to where she found herself not being delivered. Once deliverance was presented to her and given to her, she did not take it. And we know the story. She looked back and turned into a pillar of salt. But what will we turn into? Fire and brimstone awaits those of us that will not be delivered. So I just wanted to talk about Lot's wife this morning. So thank you for tuning in to LIT and listening to me. And if you like my channel, you can please subscribe to it. If you like it, you can hit the like button, and you can also share. Thank you again for tuning in to LIT.